Well, folks, we did it. We have come to the last chapter in the book of Daniel. Y'all enjoyed Daniel? It's been pretty awesome. Yeah, I'm going to miss Daniel. Next week, we'll start a Christmas series, and that's going to be fantastic, but I am going to miss Daniel. This has been a really, really fun book to look at. And so today we come to the very last chapter of Daniel. It's Daniel chapter 12. And so what Daniel 12 does is it takes everything we've read for the first 11 chapters, and it points all of it at eternity. Okay? Points all of it at eternity. And so now you and I, here's what we do. We easily get in long ruts where we can go days, weeks, or months without thinking about eternity at all, right? At all. Virtually all of our focus is on the here and now, on the repetitive concerns of daily life, on what we can see, smell, and taste. That's where all of our focus is on. But Daniel chapter 12 calls us to something different. Because what if, let's just play the what if game. What if there's a lot more going on than what we can see, smell, and taste? What if there is a spectacularly grand spiritual reality taking place all around us at all times that stretches on from now into eternity? Well, Daniel 12 says if that's the case, then maybe it would be a good idea to focus on that reality a little more. And ironically, what we'll see today is that focusing on eternity could have a massive impact on the concerns of our daily lives. So let's check it out, shall we? Today we come to Daniel chapter 12. So if you have a Bible, you could turn there now. If you don't have a Bible, it's no big deal. The verses will be on the screen behind me. And so let's just read the whole chapter. It's not very long. So let's read the whole chapter. We'll start with verse 1 and go all the way through verse 13. Daniel chapter 12, verse 1. At that time, Michael, the great prince who protects your people, will arise. There will be a time of distress such as not happened from the beginning of nations until then. But at that time, your people, everyone whose name is found written in the book, will be delivered. Multitudes who sleep in the dust of the earth will awake, some to everlasting life, others to shame and everlasting contempt. Those who are wise will shine like the brightness of the heavens, and those who lead many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. But you, Daniel, roll up and seal the words of the scroll until the time of the end. Many will go here and there to increase knowledge. Then I, Daniel, looked, and there before me stood two others, one on this bank of the river and one on the opposite bank. One of them said to the man clothed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, "How long will it be before these astonishing things are fulfilled?" The man clothed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, lifted his right hand and his left hand toward heaven. And I heard him swear by him who lives forever, saying, "It will be for a time, times, and half a time. When the power of the holy people has been finally broken, all these things will be completed." I heard, but I did not understand. So I asked, "My Lord, what will the outcome of all this be?" He replied, "Go your way, Daniel, because the words are rolled up and sealed until the time of the end. Many will be purified, made spotless and refined, but the wicked will continue to be wicked. None of the wicked will understand, but those who are wise will understand. From the time that the daily sacrifice is abolished and the abomination that causes desolation is set up, there will be 1,290 days. Blessed is the one who waits for and reaches the end of the 1,335 days. As for you, go your way till the end. You will rest, and then at the end of the days, you will rise to receive your allotted inheritance." This is God's word. Okay, so point number 1 in your outline today. The first thing that this chapter shows us is deliverance and renewal. Deliverance and renewal. So throughout the book of Daniel, we have seen the continuous theme of deliverance. If you're new with us today, that's kind of been the big theme of Daniel, at least one of them anyway. And all of our sermons are online. You can see them on our YouTube channel or on Spotify or Apple Podcasts if you'd like to catch up on the book of Daniel. It's been great. And so one of the primary themes has been the theme of deliverance. Okay, so we saw deliverance in the furnace, deliverance in the lion's den, deliverance from oppressive rulers. Okay, but Chapter 12 is talking about deliverance, but now it's talking about ultimate deliverance. Okay? This is talking about eternal deliverance. God promises here to deliver His people from all evil, all sin, all sorrow, and even all death. Though you and I certainly experience many wonderful things in this life, we also experience those things in the shadow of death. For death eventually awaits us all. And of course, we also experience many little deaths along the way to our big death at the end. We endure sickness and sorrow and loss and loneliness, regret, bitterness, anxiety, injustice, and on it goes. But God promises you and me right here in Daniel 12 that neither the big death at the end nor all the little deaths right now will have the last word. God promises us that He will have the final word. Look at verses 2 through 4 with me. Verses 2 through 4. Verse 2. Multitudes who sleep in the dust of the earth will awake, some to everlasting life, others to shame and everlasting contempt. Those who are wise will shine like the brightness of the heavens, and those who lead many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. But you, Daniel, roll up and seal the words of the scroll until the time of the end. Many will go here and there to increase in knowledge. This, friends, is the clearest depiction of the end-time resurrection in the entire Old Testament, right here. Now, there are other allusions to it, okay? But this right here is the clearest depiction of the end-time resurrection. So, the vision for eternity in the Old Testament is right here. It is this here. It is twofold. It is resurrected bodies in a renewed creation. Okay, let me repeat that. Resurrected bodies in a renewed creation. Now, this same vision of eternity is true in the New Testament, okay? So this is from beginning to end, from Genesis to Revelation. This is eternity according to the Bible. Now, since that is the case, how did we get to the place in modern Christianity where the ultimate goal is for us to be disembodied souls up in the clouds of heaven? You know, like we're all wearing diapers and playing the harp. Like, how did we get to that vision of eternity? Because it's actually not found here. So how do we get to this place where the ultimate goal for the Christian is to be a spiritual being floating up in the clouds playing the harp? Like, how did we get there? Because it's unbiblical. But how did we get there? It's kind of bizarre to me because this is not the goal of the Bible, okay? It's not diapers and harps, okay? This is not where history is headed. Eternity for us will not be spent playing the harps, floating on the clouds. It will be spent with our resurrected feet on the ground, on this very ground that we're walking on today. That is the story of eternity in the Bible. And so why do so many Christians have an unbiblical view of eternity? Well, the reason is because Greek philosophy has sadly had a powerful impact on Christian thinking. And so Greek philosophy says that spiritual things are good and physical things are bad. That is the essence of Greek philosophy. Spiritual things good, physical things bad. And so salvation, according to Greek philosophy, then, is escaping the prison of the physical world and going to a purely spiritual realm. That's salvation. But that's not what the Bible teaches. See, the Bible teaches that God created everything, both the spiritual and the physical realm, and that He called it all good. The whole thing, both spiritual and physical, He called it all good. And when Adam and Eve fell, both realms fell. But friends, the story of the entire Bible, don't you see, is the good news that God is renewing both realms. Both the spiritual realm and the physical realm. He's renewing them both. That's what this book is about. The renewal of both realms. That's why the vision of eternity in the Old Testament and the New Testament is resurrected bodies. Not spirits, we're not ghosts. Okay? The vision of eternity is resurrected bodies in a renewed creation. Okay? And you say, now wait a minute, preacher. In my Bible, I read that heaven is the dwelling place of God and that earth is the dwelling place of man. And I would say in response, right. For now. But guess what, friend? When Jesus comes back, He's bringing heaven with Him. Heaven's coming with Him when He returns. And then on that day, the two realms will become one realm forever. That's what the second coming of Jesus is, see? And so, yes, when a believer dies today, they will go to heaven to be spiritually with the Lord. But that's only temporary. It's just temporary. Ultimately, when Christ returns, they will return with Him and receive a spectacular glorified body. And they will live in that spectacular bodily existence eternally with Christ, ruling and reigning with Him in the new heavens and the new earth. Oh, but that's not all. That's not all. So not only will Christ resurrect your body from its physical death, He will also resurrect all the little deaths you've experienced along the way. All of them. Because you see, friends, at the second coming of Christ, it's not just our old bodies that get resurrected, it's everything. Everything gets resurrected. Everything you've ever lost, big or small, is coming back to you at the second coming of Christ. It's coming back in the resurrection. Let me give you an analogy to help you. So, y'all remember that horrific video footage of the 2011 tsunami that hit Japan? It's horrific, right? I want you all to just kind of picture that video in your mind right now. Picture that 100-foot wall of ocean water rolling over the tops of villages, consuming everything in its path. Houses, schools, hospitals, cars, children, everything. Sheer, unrestrained devastation. Y'all got that picture? Now, friends, the second coming of Christ is that tape played in reverse. The second coming is God undoing all devastation and destruction, of course, not just from Japan, but from all of world history. When Christ returns, He will rewind the tape, and everything you've lost comes back to you. Oh, but notice, it's not just restoring everything. No, it's better. There's a better word that the Bible uses. It's called renewal. Renewal. What does that mean? Christ renews everything you lost. Not just restores, but renews. The second coming makes things better than they were before. That means that if the tsunami took out the Volkswagen Beetle in your driveway, when Christ returns and rewinds the tape, you'll have a Ferrari sitting in your driveway. That's renewal, see? That's what resurrection means. That's what it means. And friends, this isn't just pie in the sky wishful thinking. This is a guarantee for us. It's guaranteed. How? How is it guaranteed? Paul tells us in 1 Corinthians 15. There he says that Christ's resurrection is the first fruits of our resurrection. Now let's think about that for a second. Let's think about what first fruits are, okay? What are first fruits? Well, let's say that you've got a field that you've planted with blueberries, okay? So you got your field, you've planted it with blueberry seeds, and now you're just waiting for them to grow, okay? You've done all you could do, and now you're just waiting. And then so you wait, and you wait, and you wait. You waited all season, and then finally, you look out the window and you notice, hey, there's a couple blueberries popped out. What do you do then? You run out there, right? You run out to the field to do what? To inspect the first fruits. You inspect this first batch of blueberries. Why? Because what are those first blueberries going to tell you about the rest of the harvest? They're going to tell you everything about it, right? Those very first blueberries are going to tell you not only the quantity to come, but the quality that will come with the entire harvest, right? So, if those very first blueberries are plump and full and juicy, then you say, oh boy, it's going to be a great harvest. See? Now, listen. What does the Bible want you to know about your eternity? What does it want you to do to gain assurance and confidence about what your eternity is going to look like? What does the Bible want you to do? It wants you to inspect the resurrection of Jesus. That's what it wants you to do. All your confidence for the future harvest comes from His resurrection. See? Not from your good works, not from your church attendance, not because of how big a check you put in the offering plate. None of that crap matters. The only thing that matters about your resurrection is Jesus' resurrection. That's it. Because, friends, the resurrection of Jesus is not a single solitary event. It's not. It is the first fruit of a massive and everlasting harvest. And friends, if that's true, then oh boy, what a great harvest it's going to be. You see, friends, Jesus' resurrection is the beginning of your resurrection and mine and the resurrection of all things. One theologian says this, he says, quote, "The resurrection is a process that began with Jesus and will go on until it embraces all creation," end quote. Don't you see? Our hope, our confidence for our eternity is not in us and what we do. It's in Christ and what He has done. And what has He done? It's pretty awesome. He has conquered sin, Satan, death, and hell. Oh, and He's not done yet. The best is yet to come. When He returns, Christ's eternal glory will burst through every atom in our universe to blend all the wonders of the spirit realm with our physical realm forever. That is the second coming of Jesus. It is our resurrection. Now, having said all that, shouldn't that hope of this certain future affect the way you live today? Like that just kind of makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, Daniel thinks so. At the very least, it should help you sleep at night, right? It should help you sleep, knowing that resurrection is coming. And so after Daniel gets this incredible vision, he asks two very common sense questions that you and I would ask, and maybe some of you are asking these right now. So point number 2 in your outline, these are his two questions: when and what? When and what? So Daniel receives this unbelievable vision of the resurrection of all things. And of course, his first question is, when's this going to happen? This sounds pretty nice. When is this going to happen, right? And so the angel responds by saying, it will be for a time, times, and a half a time. Okay? Time, times, and half a time. Now, what does that mean? I have no idea. I'm sorry to let you down here this morning. I have no idea what that means. No idea. But if it makes you feel any better, nobody else does either. Okay? Nobody else has a clue what the angel is talking about, including Daniel. He says, right here in the text, he says, I heard, but I did not understand. Okay? Daniel doesn't get it, you don't get it, I don't get it. All right, nobody gets it. Yeah, right. Thank you for putting that up there. Daniel says, I heard, but I did not understand. Okay? Now, here's what's amazing to me, and halfway hilarious and sad. So the prophet Daniel did not understand it. Yet here are all these Christians out here today with YouTube channels and podcasts who think they've got it all figured out. They've connected all the dots of prophecy and modern events. They've got their charts and timetables and predictions. It's nonsense, folks. It's all gobbledygook. Ooh, I saw on the news today there's going to be a blood moon coming up. Mm-hmm. Don't listen to that nonsense. Don't listen to it. Okay? Listen to me, please. Please, please. Listen. When we talk about the timing or the when question of the end of days, please, let's just go with what Jesus said in Mark chapter 13. Can we? Can we please go with what Jesus said? This is what he said. I will quote him verbatim. He said, quote, concerning that day or that hour, no one knows. No one knows. He goes on to say, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. End quote. So some of y'all need to unfollow some YouTube channels today. Don't listen to that nonsense. Friends, the source of our hope today as a Christian, the source of our comfort and rest today as a Christian, does not lie in our ability to correctly connect the dots of prophecy timelines. Okay? That's not where it comes from. The hope, the confidence we have in our eternity only comes from the explicit promises of Jesus. Period. Nothing else. Nothing else. The explicit promises of God is what we go by. All these little numbers, right? Y'all see these numbers at the end, 1,290 days, 1,335 days. That's not here for you to figure out what all this means. That's here for you to be confident knowing that God knows what it means. He knows exactly the nanosecond when His Son will return. You don't, and that's okay. He's not asking you to know. He's asking you to trust Him. Don't freak out by the blood moons and what's happening on the news. Like, don't freak out. Trust God. He knows the exact day, hour, and second of the end of days, and that's all we need to know. That is what we rest in, folks. The promises of God. Okay, the second question Daniel asks is this. He says, what's going to be the outcome of all of this? What is going to be the outcome? So let's look at verses 8 and 9. Yeah, thank you. Verses 8 and 9. Daniel says, I heard, but I did not understand. So I asked, my Lord, what will the outcome of all this be? He replied, go your way, Daniel, because the words are rolled up and sealed until the time of the end. So Daniel asked the question, what will be the outcome of all of this? Well, in a sense, the whole book of Daniel has been answering that question. So the outcome in a broad sense has already been answered through this whole book. The outcome is this, that Yahweh, the King above all kings, will triumph over his and our enemies and restore his people to himself. That's kind of the broad answer that the whole book's really been answering the whole time. But that's not the answer that God gives Daniel right here. God actually gives Daniel a pretty weird answer to his. Do y'all see what he says? Right, so Daniel asks, what's going to be the outcome of all this? That's a very reasonable question. And how does God respond? He says, just go your way. Don't worry about it. Just go your way, Daniel. Now, that might seem like a weird answer. It almost seems like a non-answer answer, right? Like it's dismissive of Daniel's question. But actually, it's not. It's not dismissive. It's pretty awesome, actually. It's pretty awesome. You see, what God is saying to Daniel and to us here this morning, he's saying, just go live your life. Go. Just go live. Go to work, go to school, take vacations, take care of your kids, laugh, cry, dream, mourn, and celebrate. Just live. Just go your way and live. And as you go, take this revelation with you. Right? He says, seal it up, put it in your pocket, and take it with you as you go. See? You might have noticed in this chapter that it repeatedly contrasts the wise with the wicked. The wise with the wicked. We see this a lot throughout the Old Testament, and especially in the Psalms and the Proverbs, contrasting the wise and the wicked. And one prominent feature of the wise in this chapter is in verse 12, where it says this. It said, blessed is the one who waits. Anybody else find waiting hard? It's just hard, especially for modern Americans, right? I'm frustrated if it takes me longer than 30 seconds at Chick-fil-A to get my food. Like, I'm frustrated. Waiting is tough, okay? It's tough. I get it. And you know, coming very soon is the season of Advent, right? Christmas is coming. Next week, we'll actually begin our Christmas sermon series. That's going to be fantastic. You don't want to miss that. There'll be a great chance to invite a friend to that series. It's going to be really, really cool. But the word Advent, it just means coming. That's all it means, okay? So the word Advent means coming. So, in this season, we will look backward to Jesus' first coming, and we will look forward to Jesus' second coming, okay? That's what we'll do. And so what's interesting, though, is that Daniel had to wait for both. He didn't get to see either one, right? So Daniel's waiting for both the first coming and the second coming of the Messiah. So he had to wait for both, and look, I get it. It's wonderful. It's so wonderful that we get to look back at the birth of Jesus, but even though we get to look back at the birth of Jesus, we are still called to wait. The New Testament calls you and me to wait. What are we waiting on? The second coming of Jesus. So we still got to wait, right? And so, look, waiting is difficult. It just is. It is hard to wait because, as we said earlier, life is hard. It is hard. It would be super cool if Jesus returned today and put an end to all of our pain and struggles. It would be awesome if he did that. But if he doesn't, we got to wait. Day after day after day, we wait. And it's not easy to do so. I get it. But you all know this. You all know this. Waiting is easier when it's worth it, right? Waiting is easier when what's coming to you is worth it. I can wait 2 minutes for that Chick-fil-A sandwich, you know, because I know how delicious it's going to be. I can wait. You can wait 20 minutes while the cookies are in the oven. You know, you just kind of stare at the oven. So you watch them rise up. You can wait. You can wait. You can wait weeks or months for your wedding day because you know it's going to be awesome, right? You can wait 9 months for your baby to be born. You can wait. Why? Because you know it will be worth the wait. Well, dear friends, someday Christ is going to return. And when he does, he is going to wipe every tear from our eyes. He will vanquish evil and injustice once and for all. He will make all things new. Oh, and the best part is, he is going to dwell right here. His resurrected feet will be on this ground too. He will dwell in our midst. In other words, he is worth the wait. He is worth the wait. And so, friends, in the waiting, go your way. Go your way. Live your life. And as you do so, just remember that resurrection is coming.